Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Brent Bridgeman and you're watching the JFL Boat Build Series right here. All right, so we're finally in the shop and today is going to mark the first day where we start working on the console where we first left off before the big move. So if you go back 2 episodes, in the last episode you can see a little bit of me getting the shop situated. But from now on, what's awesome is I've been vacuuming out the boat, cleaning out the floor, figuring out the wiring. And also, I've got this set where I want it to be. See how sturdy that is already? So that's with just one attachment over here on the side. We're going to make some adjustments here to make it match this edge. We're going to also cut this piece out because what I want to do is make a rod extension in here so the tip of my big 9-foot rod will fit actually in this cubby hole.
It looks like some kind of gigantic hole, and it's black. Wait a minute, Beavis. I think I know what kind of hole this is.
Then we'll finish off the console. We're going to use some dowel rods, which I picked up. I picked up some 1/2-inch dowel rod and also picked up 5/8 inch dowel rod. What we'll do is we'll cut these down, and in order to get, say, like this roll right here, this roll is like a 1/2-inch roll. So we're going to use this roundness to build the framing for, so like right up here where this is curved from the old, we're going to continue that body line up, and then where it makes the dip, we'll cut this off, and then we'll run the dowel rod this way, and we'll start making our way here. So we've got this angle, and then we'll cut it here, and we'll join it to this plane. So you'll have this to that to this. So you're going to get this, wedge look like the brand new consoles. And then I'm going to come up here. We're going to run another wedge. It'll sit on top of that other one. We'll run a wedge up here. We'll come up about that far on a slight slant. We'll cut that off. And then basically we're making a wood frame. All right. So we'll run up about midway in this swoosh right here. We'll run midway like this, if you can picture that. And then the last one will go right up top. So basically it's taking this roundness and coming down, matching these lines here, but at the same time it's such a small distance. And then what I'm going to do is, remember I got that pajama material. And so I picked up a industrial stapler, right? So when we take that pajama material and we run it on here, when we get there, we're going to make sure that we staple it to this, right? So that's why we picked up the staple gun. As you can see there, we got a staple, and what that'll do is that'll hold that pajama material to this, and what it'll do is it'll give us our contours we need, and then we'll mix up a good batch of resin, and then we'll cover this entire thing with resin on that pajama material. And what it'll do is it'll build a hard shell, and then the inner structure, this wood, we're going to go on the inside. We'll take the whole console out of the boat, and we'll go underneath and we'll fiberglass the other side. So this will end up being encased wood inside of the console, but it'll also make it super sturdy. So this won't bounce up and down anymore. And then we're going to bring in our original side panel. We're going to shorten it down a little bit so we still have this curve here. And then I've got an idea, the piece that used to be here with that nodular piece here, we're going to roll underneath, and we're going to run all the wiring, and the brain will be all underneath, so no wiring will be showing. I've got the position of the steering console located where I need it. It's perfectly in the right position, and it's real comfortable. And so this is exactly where it's going to sit. Now this top piece is going to get cut off because I want to run a flat area here for the graphs, and then we're going to run it back this area here. So this area will come straight up, and we'll go right down into the console. So without further ado, let's get with it. Okay, so what I just did was we took the top of this off because we're going to extend the top so we can fit our 15-inch Lowrance HDS, 15-inch Humminbird side imaging, not live. So those two units will sit here. My Lowrance will communicate with the 15-inch up front, and we'll also have a 16-inch Garmin live scope up front. All right, so what I did here was, this is exactly where I want it to be, okay? I've already test fit the steering wheel, the steering column. I've already test fit the brain box, the wiring, all that stuff. So now what I did is I ground this flat, and I'm going to take this area here. I'm going to come in a little bit as far as I can and build like a little scoop for the tips of my rods, but we'll leave this edge and we'll finish it off. That way it is contour with the boat. Now this edge will roll over and go down. We'll use the pajama material in that scenario. We're going to use a lot of pajama material. I had to take the top off this because it was square. We don't want a square, so what I did is I cut it back enough, but I left myself a 1/4 inch of room to play with where I marked it, so we can sand this, make it curved to make it fit into this body. It's kind of like a wing, but now it's at least round, and we can finish it off. And then when we flip this console over, we'll reinforce the backside with fiberglass from within. Same here. I'm going to come in here shortly. I'm going to screw this to the boat, and then we're going to make all of this fit. I'm going to make my piece right now that's going to go right in here. I have an extra sheet of fiberglass, and then what I'll do is I'll attach it, and this will be in place before we build the frame, because this will tell me where I need to be. Now this only has to be a small pocket, so we'll probably come in here somewhere, come right back here, just like that, so your rods will lay in here. I want to be able to haul a 9-foot rod right here from there to here. And how we're going to test that is we actually have the rod, so give me a second. So let's grab our 9-foot rod. Now this is the Daiwa Swim Bait 861 XHRB. 8 foot 6 inches. Okay, I call it 9 foot, but 8 foot 6 inches. So here is, see the problem that we would have is it would hit here. So now if I bring this in right here, now I know I can fit it. So I'm going to mark here with my pin. So it's right here. That's where it's got to be. So what we did is we marked this line here is where our pad's going to be, right? And then we marked here because that's the end of the rod tip. But we're going to give ourselves 1.5 inches is where I'm going to rud the pocket to. Okay, does that make sense? So we're going to do that, and then see the wiring hole is here, but we're going to have plenty of clearance above that. But it just gives us a little pocket for the longer rods, so I can run my longer rods on my side, because here's the thing, you don't want your camera guy or your non-boater to be breaking off the tip of your rods, because your rod's going to be hanging over that far on that side. And if that's your main rod, right? So if this much is hanging off over there, I guarantee you the tip's getting broken off if you put it over there. So that's what we're trying to avoid. So we're here making a console anyway, so we might as well make the pocket for it, right? All right, let's go on to the next thing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get a piece of cardboard. All right, we're going to put this underneath our fishing pole. This is just a cardboard, right? What we're going to do is we're going to set this under here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to mark here. I'm going to mark here. All right, so this is our piece now, right? Let's make sure our curve is correct. Let's grab some masking tape and let's tape this in place, and then we'll see if the rod fits, okay? Run this tape here. So I'm making the boat fit me. Now this may not work for other people, but it's not for other people, it's for me. But I also know if I'm comfortable in this boat and it works, then I have all the time in the world to concentrate on catching those fish. Now, if you look, some of the new boats already have a spot over here for this. I'm going to show you what we did here. All right, so we went off that line over there, right? And we made a pattern, all right? We got 1.5 inches in front of it, right? Which is lined up with this line here. That's where the pole's at, and that's where the cardboard's at. Now we can move the rod back a little bit, but I kind of fudged it so we come out this way. And that's completely on the carpet, see? See there? But if we pull it back to here, say right here, where we got a 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, right? All right. So now we're right here. All right, let's move it that way. So now that rod has plenty of room, right? And it'll fit there nice and easy. Now you can get 2 or 3 poles in there if you would need to. And it's okay to cut a little bigger. All right. Because you can always grind it down. All right. We're going to cut this actually over the area that's being worked on, not on the edge of the boat. I already got to do enough repair. Now that we got this piece here, the theory is we have a nice smooth surface now for the rods to transition to and sit in, so we're not doing a bunch of work. Yes, we're still going to have to do some surface work here, make this smooth, but now we've got the bottom of where the poles are going to slide in. So now this is going to sit just like that. This will get fiberglassed in there. And now we've got our area, and then we can build from there. So we're going to clean that up and paste it down. We'll use some tape. We're going to go get some packing tape because packing tape is going to play a huge part in this whole deal. So we'll be back. I cut a hole in my AC/DC shirt to put the microphone in a good spot because it kept... Anyway, okay, so I made a paste out of Cabasil and resin, all right? And you want it the consistency of peanut butter, all right? So here, see this? This doesn't have any hardener in it yet. And when you mix this, okay, so I'm trying to get it where there's no white clumps in it because you don't want any dry in there. So this is just a wooden, you can get these wooden sticks at Walmart. That's what the doctor usually moves your tongue around in your mouth when he's checking your throat. They work really good with resin. So anyway, we got the consistency paste, see this? So what's cool about that is that piece we cut out here, I've got it taped, holding itself up, and we're going to run the paste underneath this section here. What I did was I marked the outline of the tape. So I'm going to lift this up, lay down the paste, and then stick it right back down right in its spot. The back is held by tape. See back here? I got the tape holding the back. So before we run and get some packing tape, I want to make sure that we get some footage of me putting the paste in here so you can see it. Here we go. Let's get zoomed in. All right. So I'm going to add, when you add your hardener, you got to remember how much resin was in this little container. So this little container should do good with 3 drips. 1, 2, 3. 3 drips, okay? That's going to harden. All right. So you're going to stir that up really good. Get that hardener mixed in really good. All right. Make sure you get it off the sides. Make sure you're mixing it all together because you want it all to harden. All right. So when you think it's mixed in really good, then you're going to get it all. I didn't know I wasn't in the frame there. Sorry about that. Okay, so remember we went 3 drips because we only had like the bottom of this container, which is a screw container, was only covered by about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so anyway, got that stirred up pretty good. Just keep stirring it, keep stirring it. you want to make sure that that hardener is stirred in really good. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to peel this tape up. All right. And we're going to set this to the side right here. Just set it to the side. All right. We're going to take this paste and we're going to make sure that the area, see now we have our area marked, and we want to make sure that this paste covers every bit of where that thing is going to be stuck down here, because what we're going to do is we're going to stick it down, and basically that'll never come up again because that's where it's going to stay. But we need that in its place to build the rest of what we're doing here. All right. So we got a good paste here. All right. Let it stick up a little bit, because when we stick it down, we want it to stick to it. All right. Make sure you got all the paste out of here. All right. And put it right back here. All right. So everywhere where that's going to be, right, we got plenty of paste. All right. We're also building us a nice little ridge in the front in here to be able to sand and make it round so it matches the boat. All right. I know you guys probably think I'm crazy doing all this to this boat, but like I said, when you don't have $100,000, you got to do what you got to do. All right, so we're going to set that down. Now we're going to take our pattern, right? We know where it goes, and we also know where it goes because we marked it with the tape. And we're kind of just filling it back to the thing. And then if there's any left, which there is, right in here, let's grab this, and let's grab this edge, right? Because the more material we have that we can sand, the less work we're going to have to do, right? So when we come back from getting the packing tape, and I'll show you the secret to the packing tape, this should be set up and dried. Now this is a major component. This is a major, you know, it was a simple idea, but now it's going to be a very effective situation, because this is the base for our whole entire idea here. See, and the more you do the smoothing while it's wet, the more it's going to save you, instead of adding more material. Okay, I'm going to throw these away. And so what we're going to do is that will dry while we're away. And then when I come back, it'll be a solid surface. And I don't know if we'll get to it today, but I know that we will get to the dash, so I can show you what we do to get the dash ready to make it custom. Okay. All right, so I'm glad you guys got to see that part, and then we'll come back to this after we get back, and this should all be set up. So you understand what I did. This was my marker. I already had this front edge ready to go perfectly and sit down behind the original fiberglass. So these two just hold it up, and now this has a little tiny bit of a slope, so when you're running in the rain and this fills up with water, or you take some water over the front and it fills up with water, we don't have to put a hole back here to drain on your feet. You don't want that. So what we did is we put a small, ever so steady slant. So when you stop the boat and it's sitting still, this water, if there's any in here, will run right out the front. Okay? And that's fine, because then it'll go right down here in this trough, right here to the rod locker lip, and it'll run right down in the bottom of the boat, instead of under here on your feet. All right, you got to keep that stuff in mind when you're building things like this. You got to prepare for water drainage, rain, all that good stuff. So anyway, when I get back, what we'll do is this should be set up, but I'm gonna let this dry for about 3 hours. So I'll see you guys back here in about 2.5 hours, and then by that time I'll be ready to show you guys how the dash pieces work with that tape, and you guys will be blown away. And we're also gonna start coming over here, and we'll start addressing this area also with packing tape, and then you'll just, like I said, you'll just be blown away. Most of this this needs to be screwed in here, And then so before we do anything here, we'll make sure this is screwed tight to here. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do to get this area. This is gonna be pajama material. So it's gonna be really slick in here. Now when we go to do this fiberglass work, it's gonna be a lot of sanding in here and then gel coat and then sanding and gel coat. So it'll be a lot of hours in this console. But like I said, when it's done, it'll be phenomenal. And then this console will be able to be duplicated the way I'm gonna build this. So everyone will have this rod locker impression for your rods. So you can run a longer 8'6" rod here. And to some of the glide bait guys, that's super important on a 20-foot boat. So, because the rod lockers will not hold it. All right, I'm excited. I'll see you guys in a little bit. That's gonna wrap it up for today. This video's gone too long. We'll have more information coming soon. And next we're gonna build 2 dashboards and also start showing you some of the framing for that new driver's console.